down 0-3.
Listen, none of that. It ain't over. It's not over till it's over.
Hey, Cancun on 3.
Hey,
Hands in, Cancun on 3.
I fear we're cooked, but we'll see. We'll see.
Vic, you said after game 1, we're cooked, I feel.
We're cooked.
It's like we're fully on track to finally fully cooked tonight and heading to game 4. Lakers are down 3-0, haven't fully made the adjustments needed. Lost game 3, 119-108. Nuggets were able to get one on the road, and look like they're going to be able to do more of the same going forward. So a lot of talk about with this squad, a lot to talk about with the Lakers and all of that. Glad to be back. I'm a little under the weather, so apologies for stuttering, wherever the case may be. But I got Vic and Alec along yet again. Alec back in town finally to get these things back rolling. And appreciate you guys for tuning back in. As always, like, rate, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff for us. We'll go ahead and run this intro and then jump into it. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. So here we are, like we said, down 0-3. It's a tough situation for us right now. And yeah, we're heading into game 4 tonight and hope that we can find a way somehow to survive. And before we jump fully into the Lakers side of things, as Vic has said a couple of times now as he's joined us, hashtag unbiasedpod. Can we give some praise to the Nuggets real quick and talk about how impressive they've been in this series so far? Alec, you want to go ahead and start with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was the episode that we did with Matt G, but you asked what the Nuggets had to do to win this series, and I said Jamal Murray playing like a superstar, and he's done exactly that. I think he's had 31 and 37 in the last 2 games, and he had that 23-point fourth quarter. He's been sensational, and he's risen to the occasion once again in the playoffs, as we'll talk about a little bit more. But he's been the perfect 1B to Jokic's elite play that he's continued on for this entire playoff run. And then the role players, we said this team was deep, and they've showed why. Michael Porter Jr., KCP, Bruce Brown is a knockdown shooter now. Right. They're just getting contributions from everybody down the line, and they're taking advantage of when the Lakers are putting out those 3-guard lineups or those lineups that are scoring inefficiently. They're taking advantage of every mistake that Darvin Ham is making. They just look like a very complete basketball team that has a chance to win a championship this year.
Vic, what you think about the Nuggets?
First of all, shout out Alec with the Paris shirt. He's flexing on us.
Light flex.
Slight flex.
Some light.
The Traveler. I've said it a couple times on previous episodes. If Denver plays like this, and like this meaning like game 1, after we saw game 1, this series is over. Now, I fear the series is over because Denver kept playing like that. Mm-hmm. We were in control of game 2 until Jamal went nuclear. So to Alec's point, very much so, even though Jokic is the motor that drives that team, Jamal dictates the ceiling. How high can they go? Very much so Jamal Murray dependent. And the role players, man, I always say, and it's true, role players don't play as well on the road. They don't shoot as well on the road. Historically, KCP made me eat those words in game 3.
I told you he was at home. Y'all laughed at me about the picture.
I laughed because you had the ankle monitor.
The ankle monitor. It wasn't because you said that. It's because you violated that man.
Come on now.
KCP, and it's poetic justice. KCP doing us in like this because it just rubs that Westbrook trade even more in our face, and makes us regret it even more. But credit to Denver. Like I said, if they played like that, if they shot like that, the series was over, and they did. And in my opinion, it is. But more on that in a little bit.
We'll get back to that and talk more about what's going to go on with this series and all of that. But you brought up the trade real quick. I want to ask in regards to the Lakers and what we have here. And I'll go ahead and put this picture up. There's 2 of those guys in that trade here. With post-trade, LA became an elite team. Alec and many others pointed out how they were 21 and whatever post trade deadline. They turned it around, and they may have been a play-in team, but showed that they play a higher, much beyond that, and deserved a lot more credit than they were given. Mm-hmm. With that being the case, we had somewhat new high expectations for this team as they turn things around. But we're getting into this series, and it's only they reverted in a way back to that old squad we saw at the beginning of the year. There's a lot of mistakes being made a lot of times. There's a lot of situations that show where a lot of head scratching situations that go on that replicate a lot of what we saw pre-trade with a lot of these new guys now. So I just want to throw out, what is the truth now about this Lakers squad as we're down 0-3 and struggling to find a way back into this series? I'll start with you again.
Yeah, I think the truth is that they are still a top 2 or 3 team in the West. I mean, you might favor the Suns based on the Suns have given the Nuggets a little bit more run for the money than the Lakers have to this point.
Right.
But I still think they're confidently a top 3 team in the West this year. I don't think their struggles in this series indicate that they're not a good team anymore. I think it's more of a matchup thing, and that's what the playoffs are about. It's about matchups.
Sure.
And we haven't played well coaching wise and just personnel wise with this Denver matchup. And yeah, I don't think it's much more than that. I think the Warriors are a good team as well. They just ran into a bad matchup with this Lakers team and their size as well. So I think it's a lot more the individual matchups that you see in the playoffs versus this team not being as good as we thought they were post deadline, because I think we have enough of a sample size from them post All-Star break, post trade deadline to say that they were one of the better teams in the league this year.
Vic, you echo that same thing?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Denver's been building something special for a while. And although this isn't the same team in terms of overall personnel as the bubble Denver team or that 2019 team that went to, I think, the conference semifinals and played very well as a young Denver team. Jokic, Murray, and MPJ now, they've been building chemistry. They've been building a culture there with Mike Malone, and adding the likes of Bruce Brown. KCP has only added to and elevated that team. So the writing's kind of been on the wall. I think, and Alec and I talked about this on an earlier pod when we were previewing the playoffs. When is Denver going to show us that they're not just a really good regular season team or just a conglomerate of talent? When is it going to pay dividends in the playoffs, late in the playoffs? When are they going to make a finals run? Mm-hmm. We wanted to see it. They had to prove it, and they have. They're knocking on the door. They're inches away from going to the finals and likely the favorites, no matter who they play, likely the Heat, but they'll be the favorites. Jimmy Butler likes to be counted out, but again, for a different time. Yeah. Again, just credit to Denver. They've been building this, and the Lakers, it's not a failure to start 2-10, to be the 13 seed at some point before the trade deadline, and then to make it to the Western Conference Finals. And as down as we are on them, to be in every game, even game 1. Mm-hmm. What happens if LeBron makes that 3 and we get a stop and we score on that next possession? Is this a completely different series if we don't choke game 2? Yeah. So I think it's more about Denver being a better team. And like Alex said, we've been talking matchups. They've dominated each matchup, and the Lakers haven't risen to the occasion. And that's not necessarily an indictment on us. We did turn the season around. We made it. I know Laker fans, we have lofty expectations. We made it a relative success. It's just a lot of credit to Denver. And this has been a long time coming, and they finally showed it and proved it.
Yeah.
I think you made a good point too, Vic. Like, none of these games have been blowouts. Like, all these were winnable games for the Lakers at some point. I think the Nuggets were up 15 to 20 points in game 1, and we brought it all the way back and had a chance to win that game, like we said, with LeBron taking that 3 for the tie. But all these games were games that a couple possessions here or there, free throws made, whatever, turnovers not made, D-Lo not on the floor. These are games that could have been won potentially. And so I think it's tough to like completely flip on the Lakers and say like they're not as good as we thought they were now. I think it's just more of a credit to Denver executing and Jokic being arguably the best player in the league right now.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys there. You talk about they were executing. Vicky brought up matchups and all of that. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with the coaching and what's been going on. They clearly echo the attitude of Mike Malone, who has come in with the plan and the mission. He has obviously continued to talk about how we don't give them enough credit, are highlighting them enough, and the guys on the court are echoing that in their play as they come out not afraid of the juggernauts that LeBron and AD once appeared to be. So, yeah, definitely want to, and then the last credit we want to give to them before going fully into our things, just want to credit Mike Malone for how he has really, we talk about heat culture and all the other cultures. Denver has a culture in place now that really starts with Mike Malone and what is implementing there. It's great to see, even though it comes to our detriment. So, yeah, salute to them. Now we get back to us. As I said to start the show, it ain't over till it's over. Is there a way for us to get back into this series? How can that happen? Is AD going to be the lead in that? Just how do you want to take it, Alec? Do you think that this series is salvageable still?
Like, my eyes tell me no. Like, no chance that it's salvageable. Okay. My heart says that we can extend it a little bit, but I don't see them winning 4 straight. To your question, like I think after game 2 or something, I don't think they could win 4 straight. I thought they could win 4 out of 5 maybe, but 4 straight is really tough against a really good Nuggets team. I could see them, like, I do believe that they win this game 4 tonight. Like, I don't think, as a lead of a player, AD is and Bron is, like, you cannot go out sad with a sweep like that. So I think they at least get this one, but I'm not sure that it extends more than 5. If you can bring it back to LA for a game 6, it gets more interesting. But I don't think it extends past 5 based off what I've seen. We're gonna need a lot more sharp execution, even shorter rotation from Darvin Ham, and mixing up the rotation. D'Lo, as we talked about, should not be starting. We just have no room for any mistakes at this point if you want to get back into it. No team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit as well. So you got that going against you. Obviously, you have LeBron, who's an arguable GOAT, but there's only so much that you can do against a really good Denver team as well. So I think personally that it's Denver in 5 at this point.
I hear you in that. Can I jump in real quick, Vic? I just want to say you brought LeBron. He has to be the we talked about takeovers, and if LeBron still has that in him, if there's going to be a takeover from Bron, it has to be tonight. Of course, to say this series, of course, it's a must win, as the rest of the games are, obviously. But just as we've seen LeBron, and we talked about him having to be better in previous episodes, and how he's had those deciding. You talk about threes that we could have made, and LeBron was one taking a lot of those shots that were deciding factors in how the games played out. LeBron has to start finding ways to hit those shots as he can be in position to do so. And with him being the guy that has stepped to the challenge every step of the way of his career, here's another situation where he's going to have to do so. And if there's still belief that he can, it should be a impressive performance tonight, and we'll see how that plays out. Vic, do you think that LeBron can still be the X factor in this game, or do other guys are other guys going to have to step up to get us over the hump?
It always begins and ends with LeBron and AD, obviously, just like Murray and Jokic on the other side. Mm-hmm. We talked about this, G, in our Game 3 preview.
Right.
The age is starting to show a little bit, and Father Time, undefeated. Doesn't matter who you are. Kareem, Kobe, LeBron now, MJ. Father Time, he comes a knocking, right. And he comes at inopportune times. LeBron's still been great. He is still LeBron James. It's just he looks gassed. It's the minutes. A lot of it is the minutes. He has to play a lot of minutes right now. Mm-hmm. He looks gassed at the end of the games. He looks tired. There's like a what the heck did he just hurt his foot again moment every game, I feel like a weird limpy moment. And then I can't tell if he's like how much the foot is bothering him. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But it definitely begins and ends with the stars. But in terms of, to go back to the original question, I guess, I'm not even going to answer, do I think, because you guys already know, do I think we can come back? I mean,
you got Cancun on 3 or down there.
My caption is Cancun on 3. Yes, I'll book my ticket and meet you all there. How do they is, I guess, a more interesting question. Mm-hmm. Defense, I'm like grasping at straws. Okay, no defense, shooting. We have not been good from the 3-point line, and it's not all LeBron. In general, as a team, we have not been good from three. I saw some stats on Twitter the other day, low 30s from three. Meanwhile, Denver is shooting at a pretty high clip from three consistently. You're not going to win.
Well, the guys who can shoot the three for us are unplayable right now.
Right.
Malik Beasley, Troy Brown.
D'Lo right now is playing. And D'Lo missed a couple threes in game 3 that you were just like, dude, that would have been huge. Reeves is shooting. Even Vando does have a corner 3 in his bag.
No,
he does have
not enough.
But not at all. Maybe not. But a little bit.
You tried. We appreciate you trying.
Yeah, exactly. See, but this is me kind of struggling to find what do we do? I mean, it's defense and shooting, I guess, are two things that I think a couple master classes, whether that be the refs or
No.
We can't beg for the refs now. No, but I was tweeting during game 3, I need a Scott Foster master class.
Oh my God.
Anyways,
I couldn't save us. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, if everyone really elevated their level of play and we pulled off some historic stunt, it's hard looking at the board right now. What do you do to materially change this series? I don't see it, but I guess my 2 points again. We gotta shoot the 3 better, and we gotta play defense.
Well, I'll add on too. I think along with the stars, obviously, we do need a good offensive game from guys like Schroeder, who hasn't really provided anything for us. And then Rui has been exceptional. I think we need another great game from him. And in regards to game 3, I think I tweeted this, but Darvin Ham needs to be under investigation. What is he doing? He's still trotting out 3-guard lineups at points, and then he started D'Lo once again, and he was off. And then he started him in the third quarter again for extended time. He was getting run in the third. I'm like, what are we doing? If he's not scoring, he's not providing anything for us.
Right.
So I don't understand. People are, of course, making jokes that D'Lo's got some dirt on Darvin Ham, why he's still out there, that kind of thing. But I truly don't understand why him, and I get Vando starting a little bit for the size aspect and defensive purposes, but neither of those guys can really we can't afford to give them extended run at this point because they're hurting us more than they're helping.
That's fair. I want to say something on Darvin Ham real quick though.
Yeah.
Do we give Darvin Ham partial flowers though for his job to this point? He's been out coached in the Western Conference Finals by miles. But do we need to give Darvin a little bit of credit for how he's just kept the ship afloat and gotten us to this point? To be fair to him.
No, for sure. Yeah, but we're just talking about the current series right now. He's been outclassed by a mile.
He has.
I thought it was a positive to see him make the adjustments mid game 1 when they were struggling, and then we got the Rui on Jokic and we got AD playing help D. But then since that point, the adjustments just have not been there, or the adjustments that worked, he's not stuck with them kind of thing. So,
he'll do it and then he'll not do it anymore. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't. It's been very head scratching his performance as a coach in this series. So yes, he definitely deserves his flowers for coming in to a Lakers team that struggled last year with the Russell Westbrook experience. Struggled with buy-in from the team, and he got these guys to buy in from the get-go throughout the season, even with the injuries, with AD being out, with Bron being out after the trade deadline. This team still put together a plus 500 record when they could have folded when they were in the 13-10 spot, and they continued to compete, got themselves into a play-in spot, got themselves through 2 rounds. So yeah, he deserves a lot of credit for that, but he's just getting outclassed in this Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, it's a tough thing right now, and we'll see how it plays out tonight. Hopefully he realizes the adjustments that work, as you guys pointed out, and we'll stick to them this time, and hopefully it pays dividends as we believe it will. So we'll keep an eye on that and keep our fingers crossed for a positive game 4. But as we look at it, though, if for some reason it doesn't, as things have already gone, we're down 0-3. Just want to talk, just looking beyond it slightly, what would a sweep mean for LeBron's Laker legacy? We talked a few episodes ago. I talked with Matt and DJ about him being in the Raptors and all kind of stuff. Maybe I got ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Now that we're back in this situation with things going way left since then, what does it look like for the what does sweep mean for LeBron's Laker legacy if he loses tonight?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm glad you added Laker in there because if you just said for LeBron's legacy, it doesn't mean anything.
Real quick, everybody's been talking about Lakers, his whole legacy. I'm like, his whole legacy is stamped, but just with the Lakers for the 5-6 years, however it's been now that he's been here, we at least look at that because we had high hopes for that, or some folks did. We were mad, but some folks had high hopes, and we haven't fully fulfilled those expectations. So I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. His total legacy is stamped. I agree. His Laker legacy, you got the one ring, but it's a little shaky just because like they missed the playoffs half the years he's been here. So I mean, when you put that Laker uniform on, we expect nothing but greatness. Like even if it's unfair or not, based on the situation, the roster, the organizational structure at that current point, Lakers fans, Laker Nation always expects you to succeed. And succeeding means deep playoff runs and championships. We got the one, and we're Lakers fans, but I think regardless of who you are, you should respect the bubble ring. I know people like to shit on it as the Disney ring and whatever, but it was like the toughest of circumstances for any team out there. So had it gone to another team, I don't know if you got the Disney and Mickey Mouse ring and all that. I think that one is still a championship that counts as such. But other than that, it's been kind of a tumultuous Lakers tenure for LeBron. So for his Lakers legacy, again back to your Raptors conversation with his jersey retirement. I don't see that unless he gets one more. So getting knocked out in this playoff, definitely hurts a bit for that Laker legacy because I think he needs to get another championship in order to stamp himself as a Laker great.
Same thing for you, Vic.
I'm a little torn on this. I feel like the thing that saves LeBron, a couple things save him this year is that we have exceeded the expectation. There's always the expectation as a Laker, as Alec pointed out, and as I alluded to earlier, it does always exist, no matter how bad the team is. You're a Laker. We have standards as a franchise and as fans. Yeah. But with how abysmal this season looked, and to even get to this point, moral victories are for minor league coaches. All right, I get that, but you gotta. Hey, okay. You see what I did there? You see what I did?
We don't say page.
Yeah. I don't know. I actually don't think this hurts LeBron's legacy. When you look at it in totality, the bubble ring is massive. It kind of vindicates almost everything because he did win that championship. A lot of the missed playoff stuff, people are going to just look at as missed playoffs and such, but it was injuries, an awful Westbrook trade. There were reasons. It wasn't like we had fully loaded.
He was the reason. He was one of the major reasons we made the Westbrook trade, by the way.
No, he
doesn't get off for that.
GM at the end of the day, yes, GM, like he was, but I actually don't think this tarnishes his Laker legacy that much. It would have been nice to go to the finals or to win another one this year. I actually don't think it does that much to it. I don't know. Now, will his jersey be retired in the Lakers rafters? That's a tough question. I'm going to wait on that one. I'm going to plead the fifth on that a little bit, but I think so. I think
that means no. Oh, okay.
No.
Like that.
When it's all said and done, I think he gets up there, and I think I'll be happy to see him up there because he won a title with us, and it's not over. Although it's looking a little bit like this. His tenure is not over, so we'll see. No. But actually, not true. I actually think it will be up there eventually.
Okay.
All right. Well, we shall see. So interesting things there. But someone else that or at least a part of why he came here and someone that has helped him get that championship, his 1B to his 1A was AD. And we look at AD, and he has played somewhat well in this series, but it hasn't quite been enough still. Like I feel like. Sure. Yes, he hasn't fully been alternate days as people had joked about before. We talked about that. But still, the moments when we really need a guy to step up, him and Bron haven't fully hadn't made those moments. Obviously, we're down 0-3. So yeah, it's still been somewhat disappointing in him. Seeing that he's in a little bit been outplayed by Jokic, seeing how Jokic is playing against him. We talked about how AD was the all-world defensive player, and he still definitely is. But just seeing how guys can come in and still find their way against this Lakers squad definitely has been disappointing. So just looking at what's going on with AD, we talked about the future and looking beyond. Do you still think we can give him the keys one day, or do you think it's once? Actually, no, I'll save that. My apologies for bouncing around because I have a quote with that. What I will say though is there's a comparison I actually wanted to make. Sorry for bouncing around. A comparison I wanted to make was that we see with AD, he's supposed to be the 1A. He's supposed to be a guy we wanted to eventually turn the keys over to, and that's where my mind was. My apologies. We wanted to turn the keys over to him. LeBron was coming out is old man Bron at this point. We wanted to find the next guy to lead the way, and he hasn't. AD has not put in the keys as we had hoped, and we see that very similarly with a guy in Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is a guy who's an all-world talent. Kevin Durant is a guy that we looked at as a guy that changes how the championship paths go wherever they play at. We thought with Brooklyn, things would go through Brooklyn now, and there was a moment where it could have been, but things fell apart around him. We want both these guys to be leaders of their groups, and we see in recent years that they often, I wouldn't say fully defer, but if there's another alpha type guy on the roster, that guy will end up taking more of the lead than him, though we would want him to show more than what we've gotten. So yeah, I see a lot of similarities between the two. Do you see the same thing? Do you think these guys can be 1A still in the league? And yeah, just thoughts on my spiel I just put together just now. Hey, Alec, I'll start with you.
Okay, I see what you were cooking. All right, I needed to hear the vision first.
I had to clean it up. My fault. I had two thoughts going on at once, and I got back on track. But yeah.
I think my only minor pushback would be that KD was the 1A in those two titles for the Warriors, in my opinion. With Steph, I think he was the clear 1A in their finals runs, especially in the finals series.
Absolutely.
But I do think
I guess to everyone's point, because I was full support of KD and Golden State, but you and many others were mad, like, oh, it's a super team, like he's getting a free ring in a way, like he has to have a full stack around him.
They're not mutually exclusive. They're not mutually exclusive. I still believe that, but I think his play made him the 1A in those finals runs.
Sure.
I just think so. That would be my pushback to him, like being in comparison to AD. I think in that 2020 run, you could argue AD was the 1A at times, but I think LeBron, that was 3 years ago now, LeBron was still more closer to the peak LeBron at that point too.
Sure.
So it was very much like not even a Batman and Robin. It was like two Batmans kind of at that point. Whereas I felt like KD, I mean, as he got the finals MVP, deservedly so, he was the clear driving force of those championship teams for the Warriors.
Yeah.
Despite him being on a loaded roster, he was still clearly the best player on that team.
Correct.
So that would be like my only slight pushback, but I do see the comparison. I think they're both most comfortable as a 1B. Right. And maybe part of that was on Monty Williams, just like not featuring KD as much. I mean, you obviously want the ball to be in Devin Booker's hands a lot as well too, but it was like at times it was like, did they forget that they have Kevin Durant out there too? But I do agree with you that it seems like KD can be comfortable not being the bus driver, as Charles Barkley has said, and he's comfortable being that 1B with another co-star there. And obviously he's comfortable switching teams a la LeBron as well too, and ring chasing if you want to call it that. But yeah, I mean, I see a little bit of the comparisons there between KD and AD. I think all time, this wasn't your question, but all time I would still have like KD over AD because KD still has the consistency, whereas AD has the alternate days moniker and the street clothes moniker, which KD has a little bit of that too. But I think KD's consistency still has him superior to AD, but I get the comparison you're making.
Got you. Vic, thoughts?
I can see it. Kevin Durant has like an underrated injury history. I mean, he got some strokes of luck in Golden State, obviously a 73-9 team behind him for when he wasn't playing during those times, but he was always healthy when it mattered. But I mean, ever since that, what was that? The Jones fracture that towards the end of his Thunder tenure, he hasn't necessarily been the shining beacon for health, and definitely not in the last 3 years.
Right.
Again, kind of underrated, kind of swept under the rug because he was healthy when it mattered to win championships in Golden State. So like people kind of forget it, I guess. So to be fair to Anthony Davis, everyone calls him Street Clothes Davis and things of that nature. But like Kawhi's missed more games. Paul George has missed a good amount of games since being on the Clippers. Right. Kevin Durant's missed a lot of games. But what makes you wary of AD and KD is kind of a lot of what you guys have already talked about. You need a co-Batman or a Batman or a true 1A or like a true 1B. I don't think either one of these guys you can solely build around. They have to be paired. If that, like Jokic, for example, we're talking about the Nuggets already. Yeah, I think Jokic can be like built around. Now he's paired with Jamal Murray. I'm not saying he's not paired with Jamal Murray. But like Jamal Murray was out for like a year. And like Jokic kept that thing moving and moving, kept building and building and building and winning MVPs. And like, as much as I love AD and I respect Kevin Durant, they're not players like that necessarily. And maybe just not KD at this point in his career. Now, AD's young. That's a different set of concerns other than just the injuries. Like you say, alternate days. People question his motor sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm people. I question it.
As well. How many times have you been there on Twitter like, wow, can Anthony Davis be aggressive for the last 3 years, right?
Yeah.
When he's on the court. I'm a little bit sheepish of the Lakers building around Anthony Davis. And it is the injuries. It is the motor. It is just like today's NBA, like unless you're
did Vic freeze on us? Oh no.
He is generational.
Hold on. Hey Vic, you froze on us real quick. Say it again.
Oh, did I? Oh my bad. Where did I stop? I just keep going, dude. I don't even
you were just talking about like you were being sheepish about the Lakers building around AD.
Yeah, I'll end it there. Like he needs to be paired with someone that keeps him accountable. And LeBron James held Anthony Davis accountable.
Right.
And was a great person to pair him with. They already liked and respected each other. They clearly had some sort of relationship off the court before or built chemistry very fast.
Yeah.
I don't know about building around Anthony Davis. We got to really take a hard look after this season.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen that movie before. That would be the Los Angeles Pelicans. So let's not do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually had a full statement. We haven't had a Troy F statement in a while, and usually that's Alex thing. So we defer and let him do that. I had one though. It's on this topic. My statement was when Bron leaves, A needs to be gone too, and if not sooner, as you pointed out, Vic, with them possibly going this summer if things need to go that way. Yeah, I think with Bron and AD clearly are connected, are 1A, 1B there. And Bron coming to, which is why I say coming to an end now. We're a couple years away, it seems like, from him walking out the door for good. When that time is done, AD already being over 30, be 31, 32 around that time. Yeah, instead of carrying the keys as we talked about, yeah, it it's time for a new era of, I guess, another round of maybe Lakers to restart with and find a new one and start again. I'm in LA. Do you guys agree with that, or should AD? You guys already kind of said it, but do you think that AD should be a long-term solution for these Lakers, for the Lakers?
Yeah, bring all the young Lakers back that we traded AD for.
Not those same guys.
I know what I'm saying. I know what you're saying. Building around a young core again. I don't think we need to see the Los Angeles Pelicans. Like we've seen that movie before. It had a ceiling on it. Like he was still able to carry teams to the playoffs. But I mean, second round was kind of the ceiling. And he's only getting older. He's only getting more fragile. There are the motor concerns, as we talked about. So he's not a reliable superstar that you can build around. Kind of like the horrible takes that Stephen A was spouting about like Kawhi and how they should have him retire and stuff.
Right.
Like similar sentiment. I'm not saying they should make AD retire, but like you can't build around a superstar that's that unreliable, in my opinion. So
I agree.
I would say no.
I agree. 1,000%.
And then I guess since we agree with that and can move on. Speaking of leaving, again, back to where we are right now. If the series does end, as we've talked about, y'all both you got We're Cooked in your tag. Vic, you got Cancun on 3. We're preparing for this to come to a close shortly. So with that being the case, beyond AD, if the series does end as it seems like it is, who all on this roster needs to be gone after this series?
You say who's making space for Bronny?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, I was gonna say Kyrie is on the way, so D'Lo is probably gone. I could see retaining Vando. Hopefully, we can retain Rui. I don't know if another team's gonna offer him.
Bring
a lot of
Rui
money.
back, please.
I hope. I'm concerned, like whether or not we'll be able to retain both Rui and Reeves, or like whether it'll like have to be like one of them or whatever. But I would like Rui, Reeves, Vando to be back. Other than that, I guess let Pelinka cook, but it's looking like Kyrie is going to be a Laker because I don't know that you could bring D'Lo back after this Western Conference Finals performance, and he has his own injury concerns as well too. So yeah, it's looking like Kyrie Irving and his Sage are coming to Crypto.com arena.
Same thing for you, Vic.
If you would have asked me like 2 weeks ago, or a lot of Laker fans like 2-3 weeks ago, a month ago, we would have said D'Angelo Russell, like bring the guy back. Why not? He looked good. He fit in seamlessly. He was the point guard AD and Bron need. Some of his vulnerabilities have been highlighted. And he's kind of alternate Daisy also. Where like he'll have 20.
If the shot's not falling,
Right. 26 and 3 on any given night. And you're like, damn. Like that's exactly what the Lakers need out of a point guard with this constructed roster. And then 4 1-1 turnovers and like bad attitude or like takes himself out of the game because his shot's not falling. At this point, oh God, I want to get greedy. I want Reeves and Rui back. They're both RFAs, so we can match or like we're allowed to match, but it's a matter of will we. For cap reasons, it might be tough because the problem with these guys playing so well on such a big stage is teams are like, oh, bring on Austin Reeves and Rui. I want to pay them. And there's other teams with more cap space.
Right.
So again, let Pelinka cook, like Alex said. We'll see where the chips fall, but I want Reeves, Rui, Vando back. I could care less about D'Angelo at this point. I think if Reeves plays like that, you don't really need D'Angelo Russell. So Also Dennis. Dennis is an interesting person because I think he gets kind of lost in the mix, but he's also been at times a huge piece for the Lakers. I would love him back.
All-time bag fumbler, but I'm glad he fumbled it because we could afford him.
But he played really well this year for us. Like I want Dennis back, but that's a different. He's another person that's played well enough to warrant maybe like not just the 1 years, like he has the last couple. Maybe a team will give him a nice 2 or 3 year with a team option or what have you. But
got it. Exciting things on the way. Beyond tonight, not looking forward to tonight. I don't think, but we'll figure it out, and then we'll see.
I'm looking forward to tonight. I think the Lakers get it done tonight.
I'm not watching.
You say you're not watching?
I'm not watching. I told myself I'm not watching until we get it to 3. If we get it to 3-2, I'll watch. I'm going into hiding. I'm going into hiding.
Come on, man.
All right.
Oh my God.
I'm looking at box scores and arguing with people that watch the game. All right.
Got it.
Fair enough.
Got it. But as that goes, we went long today, so I'll wrap this up with just 2 more things. One of which is G's units, which are back. We had a fun poll for the last one. A lot of folks got involved. A couple guys that won for that. We had my brother. Shout out to JT for real, Jonathan Thomas. He got, I think that was 6 of 6 if I read that, if I calculated that correctly, as well as Jackson Show. I think I found that he followed you, Vic. Is that your guy?
That's
he got it on the phone.
Hey,
Shout out to those two for getting in and active with that. Good stuff there. A bunch of other rest of y'all that I got. There were like 7 of y'all that got 5 of 6. A few others got 4 or 6. There were a few guys that got active. So appreciate all y'all for tuning into that. We'll have more rolling after this episode is posted and all of that. And we're here the day of the game. So odds are up and available for us to make picks again. So we're back. I have a full 6 leg. I broke it up this time instead of going so big. Going with breaking it down a little bit. So for our prize picks today, for one, I got D'Lo. We just talked about his lack of production. I got him under 1.5 3-pointers made. I got AD over 13.5 rebounds. And I got Jamal Murray for 5 points in the first 6 minutes. He has to start off hot. So yeah, one of them random ones. He started off. He had 30 points in the first half last game.
Yeah,
he started out again as they want to break away. He's definitely a major feature of that offense. So he surely could get over that 5 points in there. And I did another one. I just put $5 down for each one, just so y'all see that we getting the same payouts as you if you want to match them and what I got going on. I got Reeves for over 22.5 points and assists. I believe he'll be heavily featured yet again in the offense, and he might just get that in points as he had 23 points in the last game.
Yeah.
So with that, and the same type of way, Michael Porter Jr. To get over 16.5 points and assists. Got, I think, 17 points last game as well as 6 assists.
Yeah,
so
that might as well just be a points prop because that
very well could be a points prop. And then a lot of other guys are being featured on this Denver squad. A lot of other guys, KCP and Bruce Brown, and other guys are getting hot. And with that, Aaron Gordon is not being featured as much. So I got him under 17.5 points and rebounds. So we'll see if those two hit. Could be a good one to keep your eyes on. Again, you can tell me, you can pay me.
Tonight. I like them. Usually the picks are a little sus, but
in the past they're a little shaky. But I found
he's unloading these picks. You're unloading these picks, bro. You got it.
Relax. Hopefully these go for me. Excited to see how those play out. Some good stuff there. And the very last thing I wanted to mention, today it was announced Carmelo came out and gave his farewell, announced his retirement from the league. He became one of my, absolutely. Salute to the guy. He's one of my favorite players. It was funny how he became one of my favorite players. I wasn't fully Melo high at first, but he got so much hate as he went from New York and bounced around from teams. Folks started like getting real disrespectful with it. And as me, I always finding ways to defend him. I ended up becoming a big fan and just really supporting him and just rooting for him as his career went on. And definitely was glad to be supporting him as his career played out. So definitely salute to him for what he has done. Salute to the great career he has. He talked about how his son will be carrying the keys on the Anthony name on, hopefully in the league going forward, and salute to him and hope for a great career for him as well. I guess a question I thought to you guys with him having his career finalized and being as successful as he was, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer to you guys?
He is to me. I know he didn't have like great postseason success, but the resume is there with the All-Star selections, the All-NBA selections, scoring title. He's one of the. I think he's like top 8 or so scoring all time. 9. Okay, top 9 all time. And he's one of the best individual scorers, ISO scorers the game has ever seen. I don't think you can tell the story of basketball without Carmelo Anthony as well. Mm-hmm. So I think he's a Hall of Famer for sure.
Vic, same for you.
Look, they give me a vote. All right, so certainly first ballot Hof. The other thing is like the threshold for the NBA Hall of Fame is a lot lower than I think some people. Not that Melo
it's the basketball Hall of Fame. It's not just NBA.
Basketball. It is the basketball, right?
So he's Syracuse too.
His tenure at Syracuse
and Team USA.
And Team USA. And I think a lot of people don't realize those two things, that like the threshold's not as bad as like baseball, and it is the basketball Hall of Fame. First ballot, no question. One of the greatest players of our generation that we saw growing up.
Right.
And had some longevity too. You know, he was at Syracuse for a while. He wasn't like LeBron coming out at like 17.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, factor that in. It was an absolute pleasure to see Carmelo Anthony play basketball. It was nice to see him on the Lakers. He was all right on the Lakers too. He didn't play bad. First, stop the disrespect, like G said. First ballot Hofer. That's all I got to say about it.
Yep, absolutely. State Melo, love what he did, and just happy that he's getting his flowers today, and going on to can just do what he do. So salute to him there. I guess the last time I mentioned you brought the USA team. One of his teammates on there that also gets compared to him. That guy I brought up earlier already, Kevin Durant. They're considered two of the greatest scorers of all time. I just want to know for you guys who you pick in that. Who's the better scorer, KD or Melo?
It's easily KD for me, just because of
Easily KD. As
the
I'm
efficiency.
saying scorer. I understand KD as
yeah.
an all-around player and all that. I'm saying as a scorer. You say easily KD.
Yeah, just because of the efficiency and him just being an elite 3-level guy. I think he's a little bit like better finisher, like at the rim, than Melo was. Melo was like elite mid-range guy. I can still see pictures of him just jab stepping into oblivion in his ISO game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think KD's a slight like notch ahead of him as a scorer. But I mean, he's still in the conversation for one of the best scorers ever.
To me, if it's a slight notch, it's a very slight notch. Like I see them being right by each other in that discussion. I really like Melo as a scorer in his prime. Definitely was one of the best. Using other players talking, they say, for example, the Knuckleheads probably always ask, who was your first bucket, or who gave you the however they ask it. And
you're welcome to the NBA moment.
Yeah, welcome to the NBA moment. Yeah. Maybe we're talking about Melo and how physical he was and how many ways he could find his way to the basket. Definitely had a full arsenal, a full bag, and that he showed and grandly throughout his career. So definitely, I think they're very close in that discussion, which is why I brought it up. But yeah, I understand why KD would notch ahead, but I don't think again, it's not a big notch to me. Vic, you agree?
Martians got the death beam pointed at Earth. Fate of the universe. I want Carmelo Anthony.
I'm cool with that, man. Talk it. I'm fine with that.
I want Iguodala. That's what you sound like.
I know. I'm going straight up. Eye test. He's got that dog in him. Dude, give me Carmelo Anthony. Give me Carmelo Anthony.
My goodness.
But to your point, Alec, the fact that he scored in such an inefficient manner, but still scored so much was nuts to see. I saw a Melo compilation on Twitter this morning, after it was announced. His 62 at MSG. I forget the year it was.
Yeah.
It's hilarious to see because it's jab step, long over someone, cash, jab step, long 2, a long 3. His bag was, I guess, kind of limited, but also not. I don't know how to explain it. It's interesting.
Super precise.
It was, and the game was different 10 years ago. People don't. Everyone's like, oh, threes and layups. Yeah, but 10 years ago, guys were not playing like that. Or 15 years ago when Melo came up. So a hot take on the day he announced his retirement. Give me Carmelo Anthony.
I'm all for it. So yeah, definitely great stuff there. And then with him being a Nuggets legend, it might be a perfect day. So yeah, long than usual. Ratings here. Good.
We're good. Your audio kind of got shaky for me at the end there, but
man. About that. The problem has all good. Really out to how to play that baby. But I was going after for how things play out. Again, thank you as always. Like, rate, subscribe, comment, all the support. We're going on to the we don't want to lose. That's us. The mother gets to play all that in 6 as they're and that. But that's it for today. Yeah, appreciate you tuning in. Vic, you as always. Peace.
Deuces.
I need to